Every time I open Twitch, it's updating.
Yeah, like, I appreciate them keeping the stuff updated, but let's pull it back a little bit. I feel like that happens to me with Discord a lot. Yeah.
Although I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of disappointed I didn't choose my my correct T-shirt for today, because I'm wearing my Stark Industries one. I was this close to wearing my "fuck it" T-shirt, which just says "fuck it" in a cursive font, but it's glow in the dark as well.
Oh, nice.
So we didn't know it because someone, I can't remember who it was, but we were turned onto the T-shirt by somebody having a blowout sale on old stock. And it was like $5 for it, and I was like, you know what? That's a T-shirt that me and my wife can get behind.
Yeah.
So I bought us each one. We are live. That was me forgetting to put Do Not Disturb on my phone.
Oh God. Okay. So I was saying, it's sort of been a shitty week because I've been really sick. I'm really nauseous with this new medicine I'm on. And I think it was doing good work to minimize my symptoms, but I really couldn't eat because I was so nauseous all the time.
Yep.
So I called the doctor on Friday and said all the side effects, and they're gonna work with me to figure something else out. But that's compounded this week with, I wrote on Twitter that we came downstairs one morning and I was about to make my kid some waffles. If those Eggo makes those like tiny little waffles, and she really likes them. I took it out of the package and they were kind of floppy. I was like, oh no, is my freezer dying?
I'm guessing that, oh yeah, I was going to say, I'm guessing they're not meant to be floppy, but then when you said the freezer, I was like, yeah, definitely not if they're coming out of the freezer.
Yeah, and like, there was a whole bunch of stuff that was sweaty in the freezer, and I was like, oh no, not again. Because like, this died, we've had this fridge for 4 years. It has died now every 2 years.
Oh wow.
And everything... So I started like cleaning out the freezer, and I was like, great, I'm just throwing out like $100 worth of food. This is awesome.
Yup.
And I opened the fridge, and it smells terrible. I'm like, oh, fuck, come on. So the compressor had died again. We get the same repair guy to come out that fixed it the last time, and he's fine. But he didn't bring a new compressor with him. So, like, I waited, we called on Monday, he came out on Friday. He said he's not going to put a new order in for the compressor until Monday. And I said, well, how long are we expecting...
I found this on the web.
Siri, shut up. How long are you expecting it to take for the compressor to come in? He goes, well, I can't really tell you that. I said, okay, is it going to be like a week? Is it going to be like a month? What are we talking about? He said, I honestly don't know. I said, cool, so I'm just without a fridge and a freezer with a younger than 2-year-old kid that I'm trapped with at home all day.
Yep.
With no availability for this. And he goes, well, I mean, it'll come in eventually, and then we'll call you, and then like a week or so later, I'll be able to come back in, and we'll be able to do the work. And I was like, oh my god.
Yep.
Thanks,
Fuck
dude.
that shit. Like,
so we went to Costco and we bought a mini fridge.
Okay.
It's like,
kind of an okay solution.
Yeah, it's like a mini fridge. It has a small freezer on top. It holds a little bit of food, which is great. And I've never
the type of fridge freezer you'll see in a hotel room.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I've never signed up for DoorDash before, so our first month has free deliveries, which has been great.
Yes, I imagine it would be.
Yeah.
And please, even if you've never signed up for DoorDash before, I'm pretty sure there's a way you'd find a way around that.
Probably. Because the really dangerous part is it's been 95 degrees pretty much every day this week. So it's too hot for me to bring my kid in the car.
Yep.
So it's not like we can even just go somewhere and pick up food or like go to a restaurant and sit down in air conditioning for a while. It's just too hot to leave.
Yeah.
So it's been like this 1-2 fuck you punch. And then, of course,
let me just write that down for a show title.
Yeah, 1, 2, fuck you.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Friday night, I get this horrible fever that I've had for a couple of days.
You know what they say, when life gives you lemons, suck it because life sucks.
When life gives you lemons, 1, 2, fuck you.
Yeah. About right, actually.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, I think that's just the world today. The world today is no longer... Like, it stopped being a happy place a long time ago.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it feels like every day is a 1, 2, fuck you. It's like, oh, hey, welcome to Twitter, 1, 2, fuck you. Hey, check out Facebook, 1, 2, fuck you. Oh, hey, leave the house, 1, 2, fuck you.
Yeah, I because of all my health issues, I've been trapped with my kid in the house for a couple of months. And man, having social media be your only real outlet to the outside world is bad.
Yeah. It wasn't previously. It wasn't bad, but now it's just a black hole of negativity and rage.
Yes, it has not. But on the flip side, it feels really good blocking people on Twitter. It feels really great. A lot of times, like, I will go to the comments of like an NPR article, and just wait for someone to be like, "Well, the Democrats," and be like, blocked. I don't even want to hear it. Not like we're going to turn the show political or anything, but you know, there's always that one commenter who was like, "Well, the other guys." It's just like, nope.
Yeah,
don't want to hear it.
That was my favorite thing that got that I retweeted. I think it was earlier today, which was like, "Yo, dude, with your opinions, you don't need to stop telling me to not watch a U.S. news site. We're not in the U.S. Right. We don't get U.S. news. Right. We have our own."
Yeah, it's telling someone in another country to stop watching CNN. It's like, we have our own news channels. Like,
like that's the thing is, I was sending messages back and forth with Plus 10 Strength. He works with Eric and Moen on a webcomic. Google that if you want. I'm not going to say it in case there's kids listening.
Oh, sure.
But he works with her, and he's an Englishman who emigrated over here. And I've been going backwards and forwards with him about like issues that we kind of run into being of the persuasion that we are.
Right.
It was one of those things where it's like, yo, dude, what do you use for your news, and how'd you get it? Because I don't like American news at all. I don't care what site or company it is. I just don't like American news.
Yeah. That's why I listen to and read a lot of NPR. I feel like if it's there's like two faces of NPR. One is just the news, it's just the factual stuff, and then the other stuff is like all the shows they do that I don't really care about. Yeah, that's
the
good
thing
them
about
for
the BBC.
Just pure news.
Yeah, the BBC is exactly the same.
Yeah, it's very much the same.
Here is what has happened. Here is the, not necessarily the, here is the potential ramifications, and here is the previous, facts, and here is the story. No bias one way or the other, just here are the facts.
Yeah, NPR near me on the radio plays the BBC World News a lot, and it's so good. The BBC is so good.
It is. I don't like the fact that it's run by the government, but it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's the one good thing about the separation of church and state that they have is, in general, the BBC is freed from its ties with the government in pretty much everything it does.
Yeah. All right, you ready to kick this thing off?
Mm-hmm.
So I can go back and lay down. Okay. Let's get started here in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpeer.
Hello.
Fair warning here at the beginning, I'm really sick, and NyQuil is gonna, or DayQuil, I should say. Boy, if I took NyQuil before this, it'd be like, all right, it's a race to the bottom. Let's see how long I can stay awake. The DayQuil will be wearing off at some point, which means I will be far more sick than I am right now. So fair warning, and we're also just going to do the first segment of this week's episode because I really want to go lay down and watch some of the dumb shows I've been watching. So instead of having to be in this sweat box because it's terrible up here.
Yep.
So let's just dive right into Moonpeer. What have you been playing this past week?
Okay, so here we go for the shortest episode of the year. I've been playing games. Boston, how about you?
Hey, games too. See you next week.
And that's it for the show this week, folks. We'll see you next week.
I hope this isn't the first episode anyone's listening to.
I hope not.
Last week's episode was really good.
Yes, and I'm sure next week's will be good too.
Yes.
So let's get started with LEGO Avengers. Lego's Marvel Avengers 1, I believe it is. I think. I don't know. Either way, I beat it. I finally got all of the DLC done, all of the main game done. I kind of deliberately left the 100% fountain achievement to the last achievement because I wanted it to be my last achievement. I love the DLC in that. I love the additional characters, the stories, the things that they do. It's really good. The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. DLC that they have is actually really good because it starts with Melinda May, who's a character from the show, saying, "This is a top-level S.H.I.E.L.D. announcement for anybody, for only designed for people who have access to Season 2. Spoiler warning." It's like, great.
That's pretty good.
Just great. The fact that they actually reference that is really, really cool. But no, it's a LEGO game. We've already talked about them a lot. Like, I think me and you are the only people over 15 who are fans of the series.
Yes.
So, play it, don't play it, it's up to you. It's fun. I liked it. And again, just the references that thing has is fantastic. I think I mentioned it ages ago, but as Phil Coulson driving in his car from the show and you get the achievement, it's a magical place.
Yeah.
Like, it's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, LEGO Marvel Avengers is really, really fun. Let's talk about Elite Dangerous. How we have essentially figured out a way to help any new people immediately have access to huge ships.
Ooh.
Because with not the most recent update, but the update before, they started what's known as a wing mission, which is the leader of a wing can start a mission and invite the wing, like the people in the same party as them, into that mission.
Oh, okay.
And because it's designed for three to 4 people, that essentially the reward payout on it is ridiculous. So your starting ship, it costs, I think, 2,000 credits to buy the basic Sidewinder, which is the starting ship. So a friend of ours called Charlie picked it up. So Jess and me jumped in, and we thought, well, let's go do some wing missions and see how things go. It started poorly, we'll say.
Okay.
Because the easiest of the wing missions to do is, generally speaking, cargo missions, where it says you will get, and here's where the credit number jumps in, you will get 10 million credits each.
Whoa.
If you transport this very large number of items from this base to this base.
Okay.
It's like, okay, that's great. So with 3 people, Charlie with his carrying capacity of 2, me with my carrying capacity of about 390, and my wife, who went out and got the biggest, widest ship she could possibly buy, with her carrying capacity of like 500.
Jeez. We
can probably do this relatively quickly. Until my wife gets interdicted, which is when you're in hyperspace, someone can pull you out of it to attack you, to try and radio supplies, to scan you. So she got interdicted in one of the biggest ships in the game, which doesn't really move very quickly, and was blown out the sky. And we lost 500 items that we were supposed to be delivering, which immediately fails the mission.
I was wondering what she just posted in YouTube chat.
Yes, and as she mentions in the YouTube chat, she got blown up. And she got sent, the area we were in, she got a fine for losing all of the cargo. And because she got the fine, she got jailed. So she literally got sent miles away from us. Like, probably, I think it was like 20 jumps away from us.
To space jail?
In a space jail. It's a starport that is, it's represented as a space jail. It's where you go when you get punished.
Wow.
Like, it was... Seeing the range of emotions on her face go from, this is cool, we're going to help someone start, to, oh, I've been interdicted, I can escape this, oh, my ship isn't really great at escaping, oh no, my frame shift drive isn't charging fast enough. Oh no, I've been blown up. And seeing the effort it took her to not snap the controller in half, say, F you, Charlie, and then walk away.
Right, for being thrown in space jail.
Yes, and the 900,000 credit fine.
Oh,
yes. So, full credit to her for maintaining the self-control and composure to not do all of those things.
yeah.
And it was getting late, and we both had to kind of be in bed soon, so I was just happened to be in a different station. We found, instead of a delivery one where you pick up and deliver from 2 different ports, I found one which was source and bring it back here, which is essentially go find a station that's selling this, buy it, bring it back to us, and deposit it here. All Charlie had to do was pick up 2 of the items and deposit them. He gets credit for taking part in the goal, and then he gets his share of the payoff, which in my one was 3.2 million, but it was a lot smaller quantity of items because I could only carry a certain amount, and Jess was 20 jumps away in her big fat ship trying to make its way back.
Right.
So I thought, well, as long as Jess takes part a little bit, that's fine. Charlie only has to deliver 2. He picked up 2, came back, sold 2 instead of delivering 2, had to go back, pick up another 2, bring that back. And because there's so many resources out there for Elite Dangerous, I just pulled up the EDDB, which is a great name, Elite Dangerous Database.
Nice.
Put in the name of the station I was at. I was like, I need to buy tea. Literally, we were buying tea. How very English. Where nearest to me can that be found? So, it turns out it was 17 jumps away. I was like, that's not too bad. 17 jumps, that's maybe 15, 20 minutes there. Perfect. I can go there, pick up my stuff, bring it back, and do 2 journeys, and we'll be done.
Yeah.
Like, perfect. I forgot to take into account that your jump distance is correlated to the mass of your ship.
Oh.
It was 17 jumps there. It was 39 jumps back. Because I didn't think of the mass.
Right.
Why didn't I think of the mass?
Oh, crap.
It was so stupid. And at this point, it's getting really late. Like, no, we need to finish this. I don't care. We're finishing this tonight. We're getting Charlie his 3 million. And as soon as we got those credits, I'm bouncing because I need to go to bed. So I'm doing that. I'm jumped all the way out there, then started coming back because it's all based on real-time supply and demand. So there was a port that was nearer, but it didn't have enough to fulfill the contract.
Oh, right.
Because people have been buying and selling at these locations, and as people buy, the stock goes down. So I could go to that place, buy all the stock, and then bring it all back. But then that would be sold out, so I'd have to make the long jump anyway to, you know, get the additional difference. We ended up finagling this in such a way where I ended up on the way back. By the time I was even halfway back to the deposit station, Jess was at that station, called her other ship in, her small ship with a huge jump range, stripped everything out of it just to make cargo space, basically. Just so, because the jump range on it was like, my jump range was about 27 light years. The jump range on hers was like 40 something. So because the jump range is so much higher, that when it's laden with cargo, the jump range is higher again still. So she made it out there in like 10 jumps. I made it back in like 17 rather than that 30 something that I was dealing with. So literally by 1. That's how many we did it by.
Jeez.
By 1 item of tea. It was enough. And Charlie, who has only been playing the game less than a week, now has 3 million credits in his account.
Man.
Which is a really good start off, considering it took me probably 6 months to get that in my account.
Yeah.
So if you're if you do need help with Elite Dangerous, it's a lot easier to get started now. And give us a shout. We'll do a wing mission or 2. Guess what? There's achievements tied to it, so of course I'm going to keep doing them.
Yeah.
But give us a shout. We can help get you started and get you more prepared quicker for the trials and tribulations ahead. There's some great stuff coming out about that. I don't know if you guys saw the. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter. My wife posted the video about this guy's 200 rescue, where they essentially used triangulation of light seconds distance to planets to figure out where this guy was for the fuel rats. Like, Elite Dangerous is amazing. Like, the stories that come out of that game, I get it if it's not something you're interested in. But yeah, Elite Dangerous.
It's still cool to read about and listen about, though.
Yeah, it reminds me of, it's a bit like, what's that other one? It's like Elite Dangerous, but it's the MMO version.
I don't know.
They have huge guilds, they have wars, they slow down time. There we go. Thank you. It's very much like that, except a lot less intense, as weird as that sounds, considering what we talk about with Elite Dangerous.
Yeah.
But it's like that. Even Line is a game where I'm all about reading the stories. Elite Dangerous is a game where I'm all about making the stories.
Exactly,
so, you know, it's... Again, if you're not interested, I'm sorry. I'm going to continue to talk about Elite Dangerous until the day I die, probably. So, I do apologize in advance for that. But no, Elite Dangerous is still amazing. God of War.
Yes. You got to the scene.
Yes, I got to a spoiler. A spoiler happened, and then Kratos spoiled.
Yes. I've had such a hard time not talking about this because it's... I'm definitely not going to spoil it here because a lot of people are in the same boat that you are, where they're just starting to pick it up, or like it's taking them a while to get through. It's such a fantastic scene, and just it's one of the few scenes where I think the game not having a camera cut really, really works for it. Just how much the camera is like spinning around Kratos the whole time for like 15 minutes. God, it's so good. Yep.
It's that whole sequence from the incident in the vault all the way up to retrieving what you need. That whole sequence is truly incredible. I love the fact that it's a little foreshadowed at the very, very beginning of the game.
Yes.
There's 2 or 3 little touches of foreshadowing, which I really, really love.
Yeah.
The blinder you go into this, the better, so I ain't saying nothing.
Yeah, I feel like we're almost gonna have to do a spoiler cast about this, just talk about, like, this scene was so cool, and that scene was so cool.
Yeah, like, like, to give you an idea of how great those moments are, my wife is sitting next to me playing Elite Dangerous, pausing the game so she can watch the cutscenes.
Yep.
That should tell you just how kind of cool those moments are, but I really can't say anything. I was trying to figure out a way to express it to you on social media without giving away exactly what it was. So I just copied the trophy and I put stickers over everything.
Yep. Yeah, because even like the icon is a spoiler.
The icon is so bad. It's like, I was like, oh, I could just do that and then black out the description. Nope. No, you can't.
Yeah.
But
such a cool scene. I think you're now past the halfway point.
I kind of... It made me laugh because I have spent a long time doing a bunch of side missions, and I'm looking at all my gear, and if everyone takes that Destiny approach of your level is an aggregate of your gear score, essentially.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm wearing 4s and 5s. Why is my gear still at level high 3s, low 4s? Like, what am I doing wrong here? It explains why, because I had a 0 in there the whole time until I hit that moment. And now it's balanced out because it was registering that missing thing as a 0.
Right.
It's like, okay, now that makes sense. Right. Now
I'm way stronger.
Yes, and literally enemies which were one-shotting me before this sequence, I'm now taking them down like crazy. And I feel like finally I might be able to go and do some of those tears that I've been like testing out and then getting one-shotted to death.
Yeah, some of those tears are real tough.
Yeah, I think I can probably start looking into doing those now. So that story, like, let's talk about the masterclass of storytelling. It's that.
Yep.
Because I mean I stopped playing it, and like Jess even said to me, I am surprised you played it that long, because it's established like I can't play with a PlayStation 4 controller for too much, otherwise my hands start seizing up.
Yeah.
And I'd literally play God of War for like 3-4 hours today, and I'm paying the price now. because I literally couldn't put it down. It was one of those things where it was like, no, I want to see what happens next.
Yeah, it's like one of those great scenes. I think I was trying to talk about it when I played it earlier. That it's sort of like, I don't think they're gonna go there. I don't think they're gonna do that thing. And then 5 minutes later, I was like, maybe they are gonna do it. And then 5 minutes after that, it's sort of like, yeah, they're doing it. I'm 100% in. This is gonna be awesome.
Yep. Let's say the boat moment and the cloud moment, specifically for me, were really, really good as well. Where it's like, I don't even have to have played all the old ones. That's still really, really great.
Yep.
The discussions with Mimir at that moment are incredible as well.
Mimir's so good.
Yes, he is. I do like the fact that he keeps calling you brother as well. So
yeah.
And I like the fact that nope, can't say it. Nope.
Yeah.
We'll say no more because
err on the side of spoilers.
Yes. And my final game this week, and this is a really good transition game over to you because I get the feeling that this is going to be two sides of the coin, shall we say?
Okay.
Let's talk about No Man's Sky.
Oh, sure. I thought we were going to talk about Celeste. Sure.
So No Man's Sky is released on the Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
It has all its updates and it has the new next expansion and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's the 1.5 version.
Yes. First and foremost, let's talk about that price discrepancy.
How much was it?
$50.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When on PC it runs at about 20, and on PlayStation 4 it runs at 25.
Yeah.
That is problematic. If it was the Switch, I could understand it completely because the Switch is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Xbox is essentially the same architecture as the PlayStation 4 right now.
I think my only counter to that would be that on the Xbox One you get a much smoother 4K experience.
Okay.
On PS4, 4K is not good. It's 1080p 60. It is 4K 20 to 40.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I usually have super sampling turned on my PS4 since I have a Pro but a 1080p display.
Mm-hmm.
And the frame rate was really not great until like doing things like mining was 20 frames until I turned that off, and now it's 1080p 60. So I have heard that the 4K experience on Xbox One X has been pretty smooth overall.
So, I believe we talked about, just before E3 about how Jess doesn't watch E3 because she tends to get taken away in the hype train.
Mm-hmm.
It happened. So she bought No Man's Sky.
Okay.
We started playing it together. She loaded up a planet first. She was on a toxic planet straight away.
God, I hate that they do that.
I loaded up on a planet, and I was on a fire planet straight away.
One of my biggest problems with this game continues to be the ability for you to start on a planet that
designed to hit you.
Yeah, like I genuinely think that it should very heavily weight you towards a planet that won't take... Every planet is going to take down your life support. That's just how the game works.
Yeah, it's oxygen.
Yeah, but having to continually like find stuff to recharge your shields, or like you can't stray that far from your ship because your ship will recharge your shields. That's just not fun when you're trying to figure out how to move and like how to mine stuff.
Yep. I believe Jess died within about maybe 60 seconds of loading up.
Yeah.
Because it was a very toxic planet.
That sucks. That shouldn't happen.
I struggled to find shelter from the heat of the planet I was on.
Yeah.
Eventually, we got it working, and Jess jumped into my world, and we started playing a little bit together.
Nice.
It was going pretty good, but it's not great.
Okay.
So let me get the negatives out the way first. I don't like the controls.
Yeah, they're different.
Yeah, they're different. It feels very floaty. Why is sprint on the right stick? Why can I not switch it to the left stick?
I have no idea.
As far as I can tell, the left stick does the scanning, which in my opinion makes more sense in my head to be looking around, click for scan.
Yep.
Moving around, click for sprint. It makes more sense. The fact that you...
For me as a Destiny player, where left stick is to sprint, it's killing me.
Every single first-person shooter, left stick is sprint, right stick is melee.
Yep.
That's kind of just the way it always is, unless it's a more specific melee thing, like Destiny, where it's an ability.
Yeah, and in No Man's Sky, melee is going to be your right bumper.
Yep. So I don't like the controls. I didn't like the fact that I was punished for starting the game.
Yep.
Which
so on that note, for anyone who is interested in starting No Man's Sky, I've put about 10 hours into this new version. I started a new save because I hadn't played in, I think, like 6 months, something like that. Mm-hmm. If you're starting a brand new game for the first time that you're playing No Man's Sky, if you start on a planet like that, delete your save, start back over. I think the level of frustration that comes with trying to survive on a planet that's trying to kill you is not worth it. You're going to start with the same ship, you're going to start with the same Omni tool and exosuit and all that. Just restart your game. Mm-hmm. Which is a crappy solution, but that's the one we got.
Yeah. So what else don't I like? Not a huge fan of, the menus. Let's just talk about the absolute poop show that is the menus and the interface in the menus.
Yeah.
Enough with the mouse control stuff, people.
Yeah, it doesn't work for Destiny. It works a little bit better here. I just found out before we came up here that apparently you can use the D-pad when you're looking at, your exosuit or your ship or your freighter, and you want to switch between categories. Like for your exosuit, you do inventory, cargo, or technology. You can switch between those with your D-pad. Left and right on your D-pad. I had no idea about that. So that'll make that a lot easier.
Yeah. What else? So we played the tutorial missions up to the point where we got our ships off the ground and running.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the flight controls. With a passion do I hate these flight controls.
Yeah, I had someone ask me online, I don't remember who it is, I'm sorry, how No Man's Sky stacks up to Elite Dangerous. I was like, Elite Dangerous is a flight game. It's a game about you flying. No Man's Sky is just A to B. Like, you're just using your spaceship to get to another place.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, that is me being an elitist in this case.
Sure.
But those flight controls are horrendous. Like, if you go back and you listen to me talk about, I think it was when we started playing Battlefield 1, I mentioned how they basically turned the flight controls into Kiddy's first flight game. Mm-hmm. Because it literally everything is done on one stick, and the camera is your right stick, and like all the controls were shifted around, and it was much harder to do very complicated things. It was even harder to do the complicated things because of the way the controls were shifted around too.
Right.
Like, Battlefields, let's say 3 and 4, you stick me in a helicopter, it takes something special to take me out of that helicopter. Even in a plane, it takes something special to take me out of the planes in those games. You stick me in Battlefield 1, and I'm crashing and burning in about 4 seconds flat because I just cannot handle it. Even though they're supposed to be simple controls, when you've spent your entire life playing flight games, having 2 sticks do stuff.
Right.
Switching that down to 1 stick makes everything so confusing.
So how would you say? Because I don't hate the flight in this. Like, it took me a long time to sort of figure out how to use it, but I don't play a lot of space flight sim games. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like there's just an element of control? If you were to compare this to Elite Dangerous, you think it's just the simplicity of the flying in No Man's Sky is what frustrates you?
I think it's a mixture of the simplicity, meaning that I don't feel like I have control over it.
Right.
If that makes any sense. Whereas in Elite, when I'm playing Elite, I feel like, okay, there's the mail slot that I need to go through to get into this station. I have full control to position myself exactly where I need to be to just go straight into that mail slot. Because if I don't do that and I hit the side of the space station, I will blow up and die.
Okay.
Whereas in No Man's Sky, like, I didn't feel like I had any control or any way of knowing where the entrance into the space station was, which was the first thing I did when I got off the planet. Was there's a space station, I'm going to go to it.
Yeah.
And it's literally just a big cube in the sky, and there's a green beam of light coming out of it, like a very small green beam of light.
Yeah.
I missed it. I had to turn around and re-rotate myself and re-figure out where the entrance was. And then I had to go into that, at which point it just takes over. And that's fine, taking over like a docking sequence. I understand that completely. We have docking computers in Elite Dangerous for that exact same purpose. I got to the space station and it was a bunch of people talking a bunch of languages I didn't understand. I think at this point we've probably been playing it for about 2 hours or so.
Okay.
And so the next planet was there for us to go and explore. So we went down, we landed on a planet, and Jess said she's not feeling it. And that's, that's fine. So we used the wonderfulness, which is the Microsoft digital refund policy, and requested a refund for it.
Okay.
Quick sidebar here. 1 per year.
That's rough. Okay.
Yes. It's very rough. It's not rough if you buy 3 games a year.
Sure.
It's very rough if you buy 200 games a year.
Yeah.
That's when it becomes a bit of a problem.
Right.
So we stuck 2 hours into it. I mean, it's one of these games where I'm torn, because I do feel like the game has more to offer. But at this time in my life, I don't have the time to stick into a game that's not really great at tutorializing me. It's not really great at allowing me the control that I'm looking for that type of game. Like, as a great example of this, and again, I'm bringing back the Elite Dangerous comparison. Jess smashed into the side of this space station while we were trying to figure out how to get into it. And she basically did like a 50-50 grind all the way down the side of this space station. It's like, I turned to her and I said, if that was Elite, you'd be dead by now.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I would have been. And there was no negative consequences to it. And I get it. It's not a game about the negative consequences. It's about the exploration. It's about seeing stuff. And don't get me wrong, I think the game has the potential for real beauty. Like, the second planet we landed on was a non-toxic, non-hazardous environment. And it was surrounded by rings, and it was beautiful, and it was gorgeous, and it was great to look at. But at the same time, I just spent 2 hours on a planet that was trying to kill me, just trying to learn the controls.
Right. And like literally the next planet over in the same system is fine.
Yeah. It needs a bit more care with that kind of thing. And that's something, again, Elite Dangerous does fantastically. When you start a new game in that, you are in a server by yourself.
They instance you off.
Yes, there's no other humans there. That's your system to play around in and explore and figure out what you want to do. You will not see another human being until you do a frame shift drive jump to a different system. Right. And that's when you'll get merged in with everybody else. But it was like 2 hours of headbutting against a wall and running through firestorms and trying to find shelter for a ship which I didn't like the controls of. And I'm sure, I know I've been reading all about you've got frigates now, and there's a whole bunch of additional stuff in there. Right now, for me, it ain't worth $50.
Yeah.
Maybe in 6 months' time, when it goes on deep discount on a sale or something, that will be a game that I'll pick up for $20, $25 or something, and maybe then I'll put some time into it. But $50 just, it seems a little ridiculous to me, especially when you consider the game's been out for a long time on other platforms. And other games that have done this. The Witness came out on Xbox One, and I think it was like $15 at launch.
Yeah.
Games have learned that you can't keep the same sale value throughout, and I can't tell if this is just them being a little greedy or thinking that it's worth it for a market they've never had the option for before.
Yeah, or is it part of the porting, or is like that from 505 Games? Are they saying, you know, like for the physical version? Yeah, I don't know. And I think it speaks a lot to how much No Man's Sky is going to be a hard game for you to get into if you give it a shot again, because
we have Elite.
No, well, no, because you have Elite, and because at the point where you're at with Elite, a little bit of time in Elite Dangerous right now is very rewarding.
Yes.
A little bit of time with No Man's Sky at the beginning of the game isn't yet rewarding, because you don't know enough of the alien languages, and you don't have enough reputation with some people, and all these systems haven't really, like, you haven't even made your first jump to another system. No. So like, you're still in the tutorial area, which shockingly the tutorial in this is way better now.
Yeah, how, like, if it's way better and I struggled with it as much as I did.
It was like, virtually non-existent before.
Yeah, because those tutorial messages are terrible. It's like, go in your menu and hit A to do this. It's like, where do I hit A?
Right.
And it turns out I had to hit A on an empty slot in my inventory, which it didn't tell me to hit A on an empty slot.
Yeah, some of that stuff is still not great, and I really wish Hello Games would have done more work to the tutorial. You know, like we're talking about, your first planet has to be somewhere that's safe for you to be.
It has to be more forgiving, 100%.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying this new version of No Man's Sky, but I think because I put so much time in when it launched, I got that base level understanding of the game, where it's like, okay, every time I go to, and it's massaging those expectations a little bit, where like every time I go into a space station now, which thankfully they have completely redone, you know, the right hand side of the space station are all the people that you can use to upgrade your equipment.
Yep.
So like the one guy that sells you upgrades for your exosuit, if you talk to the holographic suit behind him, you can spend money to upgrade the slots in your suit so you can hold more stuff. Before, you used to have to sort of get lucky and find one of those. You can way more easily buy upgrades for your suit's technology, your ship technology, your Omni-Tool technology, and installing those is way easier now, even though it's still really not intuitive. On PS4, you hover over the technology and you hit the install button, which is, I think, square. You unfortunately have to like page over to the place it goes to and then pop that in, which why it doesn't take you right there is surprising. I think the thing for me is I like that they kept the core of No Man's Sky intact, and then I know they did this with like Atlas Rises and the Foundation update and some stuff with the next update, is they took the core of No Man's Sky, which I really enjoy, which is once you learn the systems and you put a couple hours in to get over that crazy high tutorial hump.
Yeah.
I feel like after that, it's a very relaxing game. And I think part of what the next update does that I really like is some of the stuff you've already talked about, where like there are ringed planets now, which is really great. Plants have clouds above them, which makes it way more interesting. The terrain generation is far more interesting than it's ever been before.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of screenshots of stuff like that, and stuff like that looks beautiful, and stuff like that is things I'm interested in. Like, I love that sense of wonder or exploration. Not for $50 in this kind of game that's currently running 20 elsewhere. Not for the amount of time that I'll have to feel to put into it, because I don't have that time right now. I've got other things I need to be playing, games I need to get cleaned off my slate, Dimebag in chat does ask a question which I'm curious about, which is like, how long do you think you need to put in before you get to that? Is it like the first system jump kind of thing?
Yeah, once you get the first system jump, I feel like, which is probably the next thing it will teach you, I'd say maybe 3 hours is probably about there, unless you totally, it's probably a little bit less time if you continue to restart your game and get a better planet to start on, because once you do that, you really have the basics of, here's how I fuel my ship to sort of do the hyperdrive through a system that I'm in. Here's how to fill up my launch thrusters. Here's how I fill up my warp cells and to get from system to system. And I think by that point, it starts introducing you to more of the story that it might have introduced to you a little bit. I don't know if you started getting some transmissions that were just the number 16 repeated.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some of the story stuff they're introducing to you. I think it's hard, because I think if you didn't have Elite Dangerous, it would probably be a lot easier to encourage you to stick with No Man's Sky. But I think if you have 2 hours to spend on a Saturday night, that 2 hours is going to go a lot further in Elite Dangerous. And that 2 hours in No Man's Sky is still sort of going to be a lot of trying to figure out how to manage the game and try and figure out how to, unless you have someone like me that's like, go to the space station, go to this, do these things, talk to these, focus on learning languages, and here's what you want to look for when you go on a planet. Dimebag in chat says the goal is still the same: reach the center of the galaxy, the universe. Sort of. So there's basically two primary modes in the game now. One is normal, which is just No Man's Sky. That is play the story or don't. There's now with the a much more deliberate mission system. It's easier to figure out how to do what you want to do, but one of the missions you can always keep as the one that you're focused on right now is just go explore. Who cares what you're gonna do? The other one is creative mode, and that strips out any of the consequences for really anything you have, and it's basically find a planet, go build a cool huge base on it, and like build your rovers and stuff.
Yeah.
So I certainly can understand where you're coming from. That I already liked No Man's Sky, knowing that it's an incredibly divisive game, especially for a price point that is probably about $20 higher than I'd like to see it come out on 2 years later on another platform.
Yeah.
So my investment for the 10 hours I've spent so far has been fairly low, because I already have
install updates.
Yeah, and like I already have the foundational knowledge of No Man's Sky, so it's a lot of, oh, well, alright, well, they simplified how to fuel up your ship. Okay, cool, that's way easier now. Oh, they simplified how to build warp cells. Oh, that's much better now. Okay, cool. So,
I mean, to be honest, it probably doesn't help in our case that we have also, between my wife and I, we've sunk probably 30 hours into Astroneer, which is a super indie game version of this exact same concept.
Yeah, and I think when you look at stuff like Astroneer and Elite Dangerous, I think there are, I'm going to say by and large those are better games, but I think part of the reason why I enjoy No Man's Sky so much is because it's very relaxed.
Yeah.
And I like being able to fire it up and not have to worry too much about what I'm going to do. If I want to throw down with a bunch of sentinels on a planet for an hour, which is what I was doing yesterday to sort of expand my milestones, I'll do that so I can, talk to Specialist Polo in the anomaly. And if I want to sort of build a base, I can do that. But, you know, I never really feel like... I feel like part of what really entices you guys to Elite Dangerous is some of those consequences, and it being more of a... I don't want to say a hardcore game, but it's more of a serious space flight sim game.
Yeah, it's more simulation than anything else.
Yeah, which I can appreciate, but which scares me about Elite Dangerous.
As it should.
But part of what I like about No Man's Sky is the exploration and taking photos and working on my milestones and learning languages and the search for the perfect home planet that I can eventually build my big base on, and like
it's
create a teleporter so I can always come back there. You know, that's the stuff that really entices me, rather than it being a space game.
Yeah, it's the bars that you can fill.
Yeah.
It's the goals that you can complete. Like, yeah, I mean, I get it, and like I said, it's something I'm interested in, but $50 right now, like, that's a big price point to ask for people who are in the process of a whole bunch of financial, like, planning and making sure that everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot to ask for a game that's, like you said, 2 years old on other platforms and cheaper elsewhere.
Yeah.
So
I feel like if it had come out on Xbox One at $30, maybe even $40, that probably would have been a much easier pill to swallow. It's very easy for me because I spent my $70 on it when it came out, and I just popped my disc back in, downloaded the like 7 gig update, and then you know, quote unquote for free, I was back into No Man's Sky. But you know, when you look at someone on, I think it was Discord or Twitter this week, told me that they were interested in picking it up. And the big question for me that people have been asking me this week is it a good time to come back to it? I'd say if you own it right now, yeah, I think for free, it's start a new save game, come back, see how it feels, see if that feels better for you. Knowing that I'm one of the few people that genuinely has always enjoyed No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
But I just looked at it on Steam. It's $30 on Steam right now. Most people can get it used on PS4 for about $20. Someone sent it to me. They got it for $15-20. That's a pretty great price, even if you don't super like it. But I agree with you that $50 is pretty hard to swallow for a game that, let's say, it's been divisive is pretty much an understatement.
Yeah, and I mean, you know me, the audience I'm sure knows me at this point. Like, if I had the time to sink into it, to get over those hurdles, to be able to spend the time with it, that, you know, I might end up loving it, but the middle of summer is not that time for me.
Yeah, your work schedule in summer is
yeah.
So this would be more of like a winter game for you.
That's what I'm thinking, because I mean, I'm pulling anywhere between like 60 to 80-hour weeks during the summer.
Yeah.
And over the winter, I'm hoping that will drop to 40 to 50.
A normal work schedule.
Yes. So hopefully by that time, if it goes on deep enough sale, I can think about picking it up then.
Yep.
And depending on how I've done with plowing through everything I need to plow through for Game of the Year discussions, that's how much I'm planning my time, by the way, folks.
Yeah.
Like, I'm making sure to play things that will come up in that discussion now, and it's July.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, if you do decide to go back on it later, then, you know, there'll be even more patches. They'll have a lot of the issues smoothed over. Like, right now, I'm running into a bug that I think I just figured out how to resolve. So, one of my favorite things is one of the early systems I jumped to in the game. And right now, I'm just sort of pushing towards the center of the galaxy where richer and more difficult planets lie. I came out of a hyper jump, and there was a frigate that was being attacked by 5 or 6 pirate ships. So I decided, you know what, I've never saved a frigate before. Let me do that. So I blow up all these pirate ships, and I'm still on my starting ship because I haven't found another one I liked yet. So that was fairly challenging. And the captain says, "Hey, I want to just give you a quick thanks. I want to shake your hand. Why don't you come on my frigate?" It's like, yeah, sure, why not? I've never been on one. Because I stopped playing before that update came out. So basically what happens is when I went to the control room on the frigate, he said, "Hey, I'm not crazy about being a captain. Do you want to take my frigate?" And I said, "Sure, let me see how much it'll cost." Because it's usually like $50 million for giant ships like this.
Yeah.
It was free.
Yep.
So I totally got a giant frigate of my own that I can now store 6 ships in, along with all of my inventory for free. And those frigates, I just found out, use way less fuel to do jumps between systems.
Yeah.
Until I filled up my engines completely and ran into a bug where it said, "Hey man, your hyperdrive has no fuel." I was doing a little bit of research on it before we started recording.
Apparently, is this the Gandhi thing again?
No, apparently there's a bug where if you store another... So I found an upgrade for the hyperdrive on my normal starship. I stored that in my frigate.
So you could use it on a ship that, when you get a ship that you like, you can use that on that.
Right. It's basically a red engine, so I can go to red planets. Basically, now, because there's this weird bug introduced with this new update that apparently they're going to fix pretty soon, the ship thinks I'm trying to use the stored empty engine instead of my completely full engine that's in the frigate. So I need to scoot that around. It's one of those things where it's like, all right, from a logic standpoint, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The sooner you could fix this bug, that would be great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But the hard part is, No Man's Sky is 100% not a game for everyone. And I completely appreciate that. And I'm really happy that you and Jess gave it a shot. And I'm also very happy you guys tapped out early when you sort of figured out it's not for you. As opposed to like just sticking with it for another 10 hours and being like, no, I spent 15 hours with this game and I still hate it.
NBA Live.
Yeah. I really wish that there was some sort of demo or something. Like Dimebag in chat says, No Man's Sky sounds like an Xbox Live or PS Plus free game. I wish there was a way for people to just try the tutorial some way, because for me, as soon as I started the game originally and as soon as I started the game again, I'm 100% in. There's something about it that just clicks with me.
Yeah, Minecraft was the same for us. Like, that's the thing is, like, I have the feeling I would love this game so much if it did a better job of onboarding and not feeling like it's wasting my time for the first section.
Or if you had someone like me that's like, all right, you found a cool planet, I'm going to come help you. Here's how to fill up your ship. Here's how to repair it. Here's how to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, because, I mean, Minecraft, when that came out, that had 0 tutorials.
Yeah.
And the tutorials for that were essentially a quick FAQ guide on websites.
Yeah.
And I used those, and it helped because I hated Minecraft until I started using them. And when I started using them, Minecraft just took me completely like a black hole. I was sucked into it.
Yeah, finally clicked with you.
It was one of those games where it was like, I'm doing this to explore, to see what I'm seeing underground, to see the caves, to see the natural formations, to see the different areas that you go into, the different biomes. And I feel like this has the potential to be that. But not wasting my time when I have a limited time, and not wasting my money when I don't feel like it's very respectful of my wallet right now either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the time part is the really hard part.
Yeah.
You know, especially, the tutorial is so much better, I'll say that again, but it's still not. It's been a problem that the community has been begging for, and I feel like the way that the universe gets simulated, it would probably be a hard hurdle for Hello Games to get over. But like you said, the game desperately needs an instanced planet that you start on, even if it's just like, here's a planet, one planet that has a moon and a space station, that will teach you how to do everything you need to get to the next planet, the next system to go to.
Yeah, I mean, I know I realize I'm going to be very defecating with my words I'm about to use, and I'm not trying to say that coding is easy, but if planet equals hazard, spawn equals no.
Yeah, and there just needs to be some sort of tutorial planet. Even if everybody gets the same tutorial planet that is beautiful and has rings and has dinosaurs on it and everything, and maybe the next planet you get to is just a hellfire.
Yeah.
That's fine.
As long as it's not the very first one.
Yeah. Which I'll say again, shouldn't be this way, but just keep restarting your game until you get a good planet. And I've only run into one other person in the game so far. I warped into a system, and there was someone that was in the system at the same time, down on the planet in their own base. But I decided not to go bother them, because they were building a base, so they're doing their own thing. So, but yeah, I still really love No Man's Sky. I completely understand and absolutely respect why you aren't, and I hope that Hello Games continues to improve it, because even 5 or 6 months from now, when your schedule slows down, it'd be great if you could say, all right, it's $20-30 now, they've done all these improvements, I now know how to start the game a little bit better, maybe I'll spend a couple hours this weekend getting into it. But if not, then that's cool too. It's not a game that's for everybody, and that's okay.
Shocker.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's such an uncommon attitude. If we were the prototypical podcast right now, I'd be like, I can't believe you have hurt me personally by not liking this frustrating game that I love.
Why isn't everybody on the planet playing Elite Dangerous, Boston? I just don't know.
Yeah, like, I'm happy that at the core of it, I'm happy that both of us have found space games to play, because space and spaceships are cool.
Yes.
That's all.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But yeah, no, that's all I've been playing, so over to you.
The only other game I've been playing this week is Celeste.
Yeah, tell me about how difficult this game is, because I'm starting it tonight or tomorrow.
It's not that bad. So there's sort of 3 levels to this. So Celeste, just playing level to level, is really actually not that bad. It's very, very smartly designed, where it's broken up by rooms. So like typically one screen is just one room. And I feel like the quote-unquote hard part about Celeste is the execution. You can go into a room and say, like, okay, I probably need to jump here, dash there, jump, dash, and I'll be up on the next screen. So finding the solution to a room is often really easy, and then executing is just sort of figuring out how you go through the paces.
Yeah.
The next level is getting the optional strawberries, which thankfully the game very early on says these don't do anything and they don't unlock anything. They're just, if you want to collect them all, you can. If you just want to say you have more than your friends, you can. That's about it. On PS4, I know there's a trophy for collecting like certain numbers of them. Those are pretty difficult. Those are very platforming heavy, very specific on the things you're going to need to do to get them and then get back out.
Oh, Super Meat Boy.
Yeah, but they're 100% optional. So it's almost like Super Meat Boy's...
bandages?
Yeah, where, it's tough enough to pick one up and then unlock something, but you don't have to do it at all. I think I have like 15. So I'm about to finish up level 5. I think there's 8 of them. It only took me about 3 hours to get to level 5. And that's with, making mistakes and continuing to try and dying during boss fights and stuff like that. The third level of difficulty are the B-sides, where you'll find a cassette tape in a level, and it unlocks a hellish nightmare of levels. I will probably never be good enough to finish those. But that's okay, because I'm enjoying based Celeste by itself a lot.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is because of that design I was talking about, where it reminds me a lot of the design of Super Meat Boy, like you said, where you can see the level, and often it's one screen, or maybe it's sort of a longer level, but you have a really good idea as soon as you look at the level, because it keeps building on what it keeps teaching you.
Yeah, it's the foundation of knowledge.
Yeah, like you already have a good idea. You know, you're going to start a new level, so it's going to teach you something else. But at its core, it's still all about jumping, and then you can dash once until you land on a platform, and then your dash recharges.
Yeah.
So it sticks really well in on those conventions, and it sticks really well on its rules. I think the biggest thing for me is, like Super Meat Boy, it just feels right. Like the controls are tight enough, and it feels... If I dash off in a wrong direction, it's because I pushed the buttons incorrectly. It's not because the game tricked me into doing something. You know, I made the mistake, so I need to try and do it better. And the respawn times are incredibly fast, which is part of the reason why I'm enjoying it so much. Is I make a dumb mistake and I fall down a platform, fall down a pit, and I die. That's fine. It's less than a second to respawn, so I can laugh it off and say, like, all right, fine, all right, I won't do that again.
Yeah, stuff like that is key for this kind of game. Like the fast restart. People, Tony Hawk's nailed it. How a game's still getting it wrong today?
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I'm very happy with how it controls. I'm really happy with how much story there is. I wasn't expecting there to be that much. The music is fantastic. I think the art is really good. I'm really enjoying it. I'm surprised at how quickly I'm moving through it. Not saying that I'm, amazing and I'm not going to be doing speed runs or anything, but I'm happy that the base non-optional stuff in the game is fairly accessible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Celeste is really great.
Awesome.
And that's all I've been playing, and actually that's our episode for this week, because I was wondering, after I start talking, we start talking about games, am I going to start feeling better? The answer to that is no. So we're going to... No,
Boston's going to die.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to go get something to eat and go edit, so I can just lay on the couch for the rest of the night. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. All the links to all the places you can contact us and send us stuff are on the right-hand side of the page, including the Discord server. We were just talking about Celeste. That's our Game Club game this month. I think we still have like 3 weeks until we're going to talk about the recap, so you've got plenty of time to start and play that. patreon.com/E1M1, the ones are numbers. Come over there, get some cool behind the scenes and exclusive episodes, early access. There's a brand new episode of Aldo New Flicks that just came out for, what movie was it, Frozen?
Yes.
Yeah,
Frozen's this month.
Yeah, so go check that out, and there'll be a new episode of Dynamic Soundtrack here coming out in a couple days on the 1st of the month. Both of those are available on the $5 tier, so that's the real sweet spot. Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, all those places you can find us. Go subscribe, and it will let you know when we go live. We'll see you all next week.
Bye.
I only have 3 titles.
I like 5.
Oh, okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 5. Wait, 4. Who knows? Err on the side of spoilers.
Oh, that one's good.
An elitist. Spawn equals no. Hellish Nightmare and the Foundation of Knowledge.
I have Space Jail, How Very English, Why Didn't I Think of the Mass, and Err on the Side of Spoilers.
Oh, why didn't I think of the Mass is pretty good.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Yeah, Dimebag, just send your questions in. We'll get them next week. Any ones you feel particularly strongly about? I kind of like Why Didn't I Think of the Mass?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm torn between that and Err on the Side of Spoilers.
Yeah, both of those are really strong. I can do a coin flip.
I've got a quarter right in front of me.
I was just going to do it on Google. Tails. So, Err on the Side of Spoilers.
Okay.
Alright. Let me circle it. Alright, let's get started in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 562 for July 30th, 2018. Err on the Side of Spoilers.
Redacted happens to redacted.
Alright, thank you so much everyone for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.